Hello and welcome to this tutorial about getting started with Microsoft Sentinel. This tutorial focuses on fundamental aspects of Log Analytics Workspace and its integration with Microsoft Sentinel. It will cover the core concepts, configurations, and the best practices to effectively utilize these services for security operations. My name is Navneet Kumar. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and the founder of TrainCrest Technologies. As we have learned in the previous video that Microsoft Sentinel is a SIEM and SOAR tool from Microsoft, and we can use it to detect, investigate, or respond to the threats for various workloads running in cloud or in on-premises. In this tutorial, the learning objectives will be to understand the log analytics workspace, where we will have the in-depth details of log analytics workspace architecture and the components involved in it, data ingestion options and the considerations, data retention policies, log analytics workspace pricing tier, then the best practices for this log analytics workspace design and management. After that, it will be about basic Sentinel configuration, like how to link the log analytics workspace to Sentinel, understanding the Sentinel connectors and the data connectors. Then we will explore the basic data connectors like for Entra ID or for Azure Activity and some security events. Then setting up the incident management workflows, that how do we manage these incidents. Finally, we'll talk about the KQL, the custom query language. So where I will introduce you the KQL query. I will let you know the basics of KQL syntax and the operators that are used, some common KQL queries that we use for security investigations, creating the custom KQL queries. So we will be talking about that. How Sentinel works is it actually collects the data from various sources depending on the data connectors you connect with. Then it does the data analysis based on the analytics rules that you define or the threat intelligence and you know the proactive hunting of these threats. So we can do the threat hunting and turn that into the analytics rule to create the events or the alerts or the incidents. We will see all these different aspects of the Microsoft Sentinel solution in this tutorial. So without any further delay, let's get started with log analytics workspace and connecting it with Sentinel and writing some KQL queries to query this data. In this tutorial, I shown you that how to create a log analytics workspace and connect the Microsoft Sentinel with that workspace. I'll just give you a quick recall and then we'll start with this workspace and the settings related to this workspace and ingesting the data to this workspace. So to create a log analytics workspace, all you need to do is you need to click on this hamburger icon and then create a resource. From the marketplace, you need to select the log analytics workspace solution from Microsoft. This is log analytics workspace. There will be a few parameters you need to provide, and these parameters will be the subscription where you want to create it, the resource group where you want to deploy this, then the name for this workspace and the region where you want to locate this workspace and store the data. Then tag. Finally, you review and create this workspace. Once this is deployed, then you can deploy the Microsoft Sentinel, and for that, if I show you the Microsoft Sentinel, or let me just type Sentinel. Here we go. So when you deploy the Sentinel, you click on create button. So you have the option to choose an existing log analytics workspace, or you can create a new workspace from here as well. So this will create a log analytics workspace and will connect the Sentinel solution on top of it. This Microsoft Sentinel will use the log analytics workspace as a central hub for the data or the logs that will be retrieved from the various data sources. Now you can ingest that data to that log analytics workspace. You can go to the configuration of this workspace of the Sentinel and then do the settings for the Microsoft Sentinel or for the log analytics workspace. So Sentinel settings are here for setting up the pricing, and you can get the discount depending on the commitment that you do for per gig of data per day, the ingestion and the processing of that data. Or right now I'm on pay as you go plan. Whereas we have settings for the Sentinel, if we want to use the user experience behavior analytics, then we can set it up from here. That I will cover later on. So UEBA related settings are there, then playbook permissions, what are those and how do we configure them? So there is an option to configure these permissions for the playbooks to do the automatic response to the incidents. How Microsoft uses your data, auditing and health monitoring you can check. You can remove the Microsoft Sentinel also, so the things that you need to take care, so know before you go with this. So these are the things, okay, so they have been explained over here. Then finally, if you want to do the log analytics workspace setting, then you can do it from here. You can check the workspace usage report as well. Now this is the log analytics workspace and its settings. You can go to the settings and then here you have usage and estimated cost, where from you can define the usage details. You can check the cost optimization insights. You can put a daily cap on the data that I did already, so on and 1 gig per day. And then you will see the data retention policy, so up to 90 days is free of cost, and because you are a Sentinel customer, and you can retain this data for up to 2 years, so 730 days is there. So I can set this accordingly as per my requirement for how long I want to retain these logs over here. Well, this is how we can proceed with this log analytics workspace. If I go back to this, this is the log analytics workspace setting. I'll go back to the Sentinel, and in the Microsoft Sentinel, I take you to the general page. Now we need to collect the data from various sources. For that, we need to use the data connectors so that the data is collected and ingested into this log analytics workspace. We have tons of connectors available. So I will connect some basic connectors over here. Then we'll do a detailed video on the data connectors to connect. Right now you see zero connectors are there, and zero connectors connected actually. So there is no connector connected to this workspace. Now there are some featured data connectors. There are some there is content hub where from you can get these connectors. So you can go to the content hub and define that what data connectors you want to connect with your Sentinel workspace. So installed zero, updates of course will be zero. Now let's say I want to use the Azure Activity, whatever the Azure Activity, which are the control plane logs actually, whatever the management I do in Azure subscription. So I want to connect that. So I will choose this data connector, and then for each data connector there will be different settings that you need to see over here after selecting the connector. So the configuration for that connector will vary depending on connector that you use. Here we have the 13 analytics rule that this connector will come with, one data connector, and 14 hunting queries will be there along with it. There will be one workbook as well, and this is for free. You can view the details about this connector. This is provided from Microsoft, and Microsoft support is there in this version of that is 3.0.2. So this is the connector. So that's how you can connect these data connectors. They can be based on the agent. Some of the connectors will require the agent installation. Some of them will require the API connections or service connections to connect with the workspace. So depending on the connector type that you're going to use, you will have this configuration. For an instance, if I want to deal with the security events from a Windows machine in on-premises, so for that I will require an agent to deploy on my on-premises machine. So here, if I look for security and security events from my Windows machine, so there are so many solutions actually. Windows security events, if I choose, so for Windows security events, you will see that this connector will come with these analytics rules, data connectors, to and hunting query, and number of workbooks that you will be getting. Okay. Then you can view more details about that, or you can click on installing this data connector. It is telling you the process. You need to download this and install this agent, Windows Security Event Agent, via AMA, Azure Monitoring Agent. Okay, so you will require this Azure Monitoring Agent to be deployed on your Windows machines, and then that agent will start sending the security logs to the log analytics workspace. Then next step will be security events via legacy agent. You will be selecting, you will decide that okay, which security logs, like error logs or informational logs, so what kind of logs you want. So you need to do that configuration. So here comes the management option to manage these connectors. So I'm into this Windows security connector. Okay, so here you will notice that this is a Windows security event via AMA, okay, that we can configure, and security event via legacy agents. I will cover these type of agent deployments in the detailed video later on. This time I'm connecting some basic data connectors so that I get some logs over here ingested, and I can run some KQL queries on top of that data and show you some basic KQL queries to query this information from this connector. So this connector that I have selected, Azure Activity, will send the Azure Activity logs to this workspace. There are three connectors it is showing. So Windows Security Event via AMA, Security Events, Azure Activity. And here I can show you the Azure activities that are available in my Azure subscription. So Azure Activity logs. Here we go. So these activity logs, which I see of the last 6 hours in this subscription, or you can use the criterion filter to choose the logs in last 2 weeks, whatever the changes have been done in this subscription. So these logs will be sent to the workspace. So all the control plane related logs will be ingested in the Sentinel workspace, and I can use them to define the analytics rules or to create the workbooks or dashboards or the hunting queries. This ingestion of the data will take some time, so you need to wait for a while before you start querying this data. So to query this data, you will go to the logs blade over here. There is something called logs, and in the logs we have this welcome to log analytics. Okay, and this is the tutorial that you can go with, and this is the initial page that is actually guiding you about the query. And we have a query hub where lots of saved queries are there. You can pick those queries and you can run them, so you need not to write each query from scratch. Now if you go to the log management, you will be able to see some tables over here, and depending on the uh, you know depending on the data connectors you have used, these tables will be uh, increased. You will get more number of tables, because as I mentioned that log analytics workspace is the central hub to all your data of Sentinel. So all that data comes here. So usage related, operations related, I will get Azure Activity table over here that I will use to query through this custom query language. So we'll pause this video for a while, and once the logs have been ingested, I will start running the KQL queries on these tables. The Azure Activity connector is now in the connected state. You will see that the connectors which are connected are in the green color, whereas the other connectors are in the gray color. They are actually grayed out. That means that the connectors are still not connected. You see total are 3 connectors here. Well, this Azure Activity connector is now in the connected state. As you see here, one of the connector is connected out of these 3 connectors. So you can add multiple connectors from the content hub. There are hundreds of solutions available. Different connectors are out there. So be it Amazon Web Services for Azure Activity, for Cisco Umbrella, or for DNS Essentials, Google Cloud Platform. Okay, you see for different XDR from Microsoft, or third-party XDR services, UEBA Essentials, and many more solutions, third-party solutions. And we have agent-based deployments as well, so we can install the agents. So there are 363 solutions, and the standalone contents are 278. 3 are installed out of this from this content hub. Now if I go back to the data connectors, so I see three data connectors that I have installed. One is for the Azure Activity, second one is for Microsoft Entra ID, and third one is for security event from Windows machines through Azure Monitor Agent, uh, the agent actually that we need to deploy on the machines, Windows machines, regardless where the machines are running, be it on premises or any other cloud. Uh, on each connector you will see the options to connect to them. So open connector page if you go to, and then it will guide you through the process that what are the things that you need to qualify, so whether you qualify the prerequisites or not. Maybe for this Entra ID tenant I want to send the logs, maybe sign in logs or audit logs. So you see, for sign in logs you require P1 P2 license. Rest of the logs you can send audit logs, risky users, or that is in preview, okay, user risk events. So you can choose the log types that you want to ingest into it, and then you can go ahead with that. So you see all the things are configured. I mean, I qualify for the prerequisites, I have selected the log types also, but still there is no log, there is no data transferred. The connector is actually grayed out and not yet connected. So it takes some time, you need to wait for a while, for few minutes, and the connector will come in the connected state. One of my connector is connected. We will work on the connectors further in the next tutorial. We will talk about them in more details. One of the connector is connected, and if I show you that what data has been sent through this connector, so if you choose this connector here, so it shows you that okay, 181 activity logs have been ingested, and this shows you the graph that the data that has been received. This connector comes with these analytics rules that we can use. The two queries are there. There is no workbook actually right now. Now coming to query these logs, activity logs, I will take you to this logs blade once again. And earlier you might have noticed that under the log management there were two tables only, but now you may get additional tables. For an instance, for Azure Activity, you got this Azure Activity table. So if I want to run a query related to Azure Activity, I will hit double click on that table and then will run it. It will show me all the Azure Activity logs. The log analytics workspace uses the custom query language, and this custom query is almost like SQL, the structured query language we have. There are some differences between the custom and the SQL. Like if we have to retrieve the data in SQL, then we have to use the select statement, select then which property from which table. Here I'm typing the table name and that's it. But if I want to select specific properties, then I can do it with the help of pipe. So I can pipe, and then I can use the project operator, and I can decide that what properties I want to project. So for an instance, I want to see this operations name. So comma separated, I can provide all the properties that I want them to be listed. The level I'm looking for, the activity status value, that what is the state of this. So activity status or activity status value, like this, activity substatus or subscription ID or any other attribute that you want to see, the caller, who is the caller. So comma separated, you can define all these attributes and then run your query. This query runs for the custom time range. You can define that between what time range you want to provide this, okay, information. If you want to do a filter, then you can filter that as well. For an instance, I want to put a where operator, so where, and then I can say activity status value, and that value equals to, and then I provide the value for that. Let's say it is start. So I'll go with this, and excuse me, so here we go, start, and I run this query. So it will filter for those only that have the state as a start and will project these attributes that I have selected. You see one of them is now not listed over here. Maybe I want to summarize all these attributes and I want to generate a graph. So I can use summarize. I can use methods like I want to count, and by which property I want to count them. For instance, I want to count them by their activity status value. Right now I see two type of values. So it has summarized that okay, one is success and one is started. Now you can use the operators like render to send this output to generate a chart, maybe bar chart or any kind of graph that you want to generate. So you can use it. So bar chart, column chart, what kind of uh, view you want. So for an instance, I want the area chart, so this will produce the area chart for this. Okay, I want to generate a pie chart, so I can use that. Okay, so this is how you can run the queries, and either you can visualize this data or you can filter for the required data, so you can do all that analytics. Custo query is actually the analytics query language, and if you know SQL or Splunk, then you can find a cheat sheet to make it easier for you. So you can start a new tab here, and let's say KQL to SQL cheat sheet. So MS Learn documentation you will find for the cheat sheet to compare it with SQL and Splunk. Here you see SQL to Custo cheat sheet and Splunk to Custo cheat sheet. So how do we work in SQL for any query? So we type select statement, then we provide the properties. Maybe if we are looking to call all the properties from the table, we say star, or comma separated, we provide multiple, and then we define from statement and then table, which table we want to query. But here in Custo, we just type the table name and that's it. It'll get all the attributes. For an instance, we want to select few properties, then you say comma separated, but here we use project operator that I shown you. So these are the things that how the KQL works differently than the SQL. And if you're looking for distinct properties, so here you use select distinct, and then where the unique value is there, so name or type from dependency, so it will get those distinct values only. Here this time I want to see the summarize by the name, type, whatever the properties I'm looking for, so I can type that. Okay, I can summarize it by particular property. So for instance, I wanted to summarize this, and I say summarize by activity status value. I don't want to do the count this time, I'm not using that method, so I want to just summarize. So it will find that okay, there are two objects, and each one is having unique value. There are no multiple instances sharing the same property. So if I run the selected query, and excuse me, it will not work this way, it's not PowerShell ISE. So I want to summarize by activity activity status value. Yeah, so here we have success and start. There are two different values, there is no third value. Okay, so this is how we can define. For an instance, I'm looking for the properties from this is time range, so 1st of August to this much, and the activities from till then. So there is only this data actually for this run. Okay, so we have this time range operator, maybe last 7 days I set it to, and now I run it because I have seen 180 almost logs. So success, start, is there any failed or something? So the status value, these are the two values actually, that is why it is just giving two results. If there is something called failed or something, for an instance, for level it will make more sense. I have this informational, this is information, this is information. Do we have any other value over here? We can look for that. So created, okay, activity sub status value is this. Administrative category of the activity log, what kind of activity log it is. These are administrative. Okay, anyways, so here we have this data available. Azure Activity in Azure, and I believe caller is also same for all of these. Caller is also admin, yeah, for all these activities. Anyways, so it will summarize them, and if I run this query, so it will show you that what are the unique. Okay, one is there except. Okay, that's good. So that's how you can use these operators, and you can use this cheat sheet. And Splunk to Custo cheat sheet is also there, so you can compare it with Splunk queries also. So if you're using Splunk for the uh, telemetry system management, for these log management, or for any sort of operations you're using for monitoring through Splunk, and you are good with that, so you can compare it that how it works and how Custo is different than the Splunk. So that knowledge you can apply to custom query. Otherwise, you will see this is a quite robust analytical language, and this is the custom query language overview. What it is, how do we use that? So what is custom query? All the details are there. The different operators have been discussed. Some tutorials you will find them. Okay. So let us get back to this. This is how we write the query, and we query for a particular data from here. And these queries are actually used to create your custom analytics rules. Basically, you will see that some of the analytical rules have been onboarded when you onboarded the connectors from the content hub. So we have seen that when we onboard a connector, data connector, so it comes with some analytic rules. And these analytic rules are actually the policies or the logics that uh, find the data, and they are looking for evidences. We call them events. Okay, so based on the logs that have been ingested, it can trigger them into the alerts or incidents that we can create using this. So right now there is only one active rule, which is the advanced multi-stage rule fusion technology it is using. I can create the custom rules, and I can create a scheduled query to run at a scheduled time or near real time queries, or I can create Microsoft incident creation rules from the uh, security services that I have integrated in this. So those services generate the alerts themselves. So I'm using some Defender services, Defender for identity, Defender for cloud. So I want to integrate them. Based on that, I want to create the rules. I can use this. Now, if I go to this scheduled rule query, then I can use some templates, or I can start writing it from scratch. So you start creating the analytical rule, and then you provide your rule logic over here. Okay, for generating the alerts or the incident settings, and any automated response you want to do for that. So that all you do from here. Now, if I take you to the rule templates, so there are so many rule templates, and they have been onboarded due to the connectors that I added related to Microsoft Entra ID or Azure Activity. May I also have onboarded some of them, like new CloudShell user. If it finds a new CloudShell user, so there is a rule for that. There is a template. So what you can do is you can pick this template, and based on this template you can create a rule. So you see this ellipsis button, and you can click on plus create rule using this template. So you have been provided some queries for these connectors by the provider already. Rest you can write your own queries. So this is general query for new cloud user. What this query does, it identifies when a user creates an Azure Cloud Shell for the first time. Okay, monitor this activity to ensure only the expected users are using Cloud Shell. Severity is low. Okay, you can decide the severity of this informational only, low, medium, or high. So it is low severity, and MITRE attack framework it is using the threat modeling for execution, one of that it is using. Okay, and under the execution itself it is using two tactics. So we have the uh, this tactic T1059. Okay, and command and script interpreters, one of them it is using this one. This is the only one actually here. Yeah. So the MITRE attack, whatever the MITRE attack have been selected. When I see execution, I don't see the other one over here. Okay. Yeah. This is for command and scripting interpreters. Okay. Status of this is enabled. You can set the rule logic that how frequently it will run and what will happen if it finds such incidents. So you can do the run query every 1 day, or every, let's say, 5 minutes I want to run. So every minute I cannot do, I cannot choose that. So every 5 minutes, and look for the data from the last 1 day, and automatically it will run alert threshold. So if the result is greater than 0, so even if there is one event it finds, one activity log it finds, it will generate the event. It can group multiple events like this into a single alert. I do not want to have lots of alerts, so I want to do that suppression. I also can further stop this after some time automatically, so to reduce the attacks, I mean to reduce the alerts. It will create the incident or not. So whether you want only the alert only, or maybe you want to generate the incident, so it's up to you. So I want to create an incident, for instance, and then you want to do the alert grouping. If there are multiple alerts for the same thing, then group them into one incident. I don't want this to be flooded with lots of incidents for it. Then if you want to do automated response, then you can put your automation rules of the playbooks over here, and then finally you click on review and create this rule, analytical rule. So there we go, and I saved it. I have not selected any response as of now. Now what I do is I launch the CloudShell to generate a activity log for this. So for the first time I will launch the CloudShell. I want to use the PowerShell. It will require a storage account, so I will say that okay, uh, mount storage account for this, and then here I can choose the storage account, or I can say use existing. So storage account in which subscription, so I need to choose that is your pass subscription. Okay, so that is going to be my subscription there, that I can do. Or if I don't want any storage account, so I can apply the configuration accordingly. I can launch the Cloud Shell. I just want to trigger an activity log. I do not want the persistent storage to be mounted on this terminal. So this will launch a terminal, a Cloud Shell. Now I can run my commands over here. Fine. uh, Now, because I have done this kind of job, so activity log will be generated, that okay, Cloud Shell was launched, so you will see that this activity log will be written. So from generation to writing this, there can be a difference of few seconds. Okay, so 16 minutes back this activity log was generated. Here we go. So mod user started the Cloud Shell, and I have a query that does this job. So I will go to the Sentinel, back to that. Once that activity log will be generated here, it will pop up over here, and then it will be ingested to my workspace. And in the workspace, I have that analytics rule to create an incident. There we go. Here it is, the rule. And if you look at the rule here, so this was the query, rule query, and I take this query, whatever the query is here. I mean, oops. Or I can edit this rule to take this query from there. Rule logic. This is the query. I can view the query results here also directly when I create the rule. Okay, so if I want to see these results, I can say view query results. It will go to that log query. We'll put that query here, and there is no result right now because we have seen that log is still not registered. Time range is, let's say, within 24 hours. In fact, my rule is also for 1 day, to look into the last 1 day logs. Okay, so as soon as a log will be there, this query will figure it out, and based on this evidence, it will generate an alert, and alert will be turned into the incident as per the rule logic. Here we go. We can literally check that activity log, that what's going on. So 3 minutes back, there was something that happened, and it was succeeded for some registration. Register admin, okay, for Cloud Shell. JSON, this is the JSON data. So this was the operation. Now this was successfully done, and this will be figured out as a query once this comes over here. So under the Azure Activity, if I select this and I run this part only, the Azure Activity, will return the Azure activities, and this is this one, Sentinel RG admin. Okay, so time, if I see, is different. Okay, so that log has still not been ingested. I need to wait for some time. And once it will be here, so we are saying that let match window. Okay, that is 3 minutes. Azure activity where resource group has CloudShell, so it is the parameter through which it is or operators through which it is filtering that data, and it is looking for that resource group has CloudShell. And operation name is Microsoft.storage account, right? Okay. In my case, I did not use the storage account for launching the Cloud Shell. So this query is looking for a resource group for this storage account by this name, Cloud Shell. Basically, what happens is when you launch the Cloud Shell, excuse me, when you launch the Cloud Shell, so it asks you to mount a storage on your shell so that you can store your scripts or templates into it. Here we go. So I can go to this new session for the Cloud Shell that I want to start. This is where from we can download the files. Okay, let me go to the classic version of it. This is the classic version. User settings to be reset. PowerShell, storage, create a storage. So it will create and mount a storage on this shell this time. Why I'm creating this storage actually, because I want that query to return an evidence, and due to that evidence the alert will be generated, because the query is written in a way that it will look for a resource group Cloud Shell. That is the filter that has been defined here in storage. But if I've launched the Cloud Shell where there is no Cloud Shell storage used, so it will not find any results. It will join that with Azure Activity where the resource group has Cloud Shell and then storage, so it will join it with that, but at the end it will be looking for that resource group with the storage account it has been started. So this query need to be fine-tuned also, because if an attacker gain access and tries to launch the Cloud Shell without the storage, also can run the command and access the data, so there can be data breaches. But anyways, I have used the existing template, and based on the template I need to match the condition over here. So this is now authenticating, and I will now go to the activity logs. I will refresh this. You will notice that it will create a resource group this time, and if I go to portal.azure.com, I close the Cloud Shell. I will show you the resource group. A Cloud Shell resource group must be created here. For the storage account, you see Cloud Shell storage in Central India, it has been deployed. It must have a storage account. That storage account is actually having a file share that is mounted on the terminal that is provided to me. So if I go to the data storage file shares, and on the file shares I have something as a file share which is transaction optimized, that is created, and for admin, okay, CS admin. So this is the storage account file share that is mounted on the terminal, and what I'm expecting is a log based on it. Update storage account create. So there has been a log generated for this, Now I can query for that log either from here or from this log analytics workspace. In the Azure monitor, of course, it will be there because this is the Azure monitor workspace. If I run this activity log, Azure activity, excuse me, Azure activity, or I already have that. Okay, fine. I use this tab completion in the last 24 hours, whatever the logs are. So CloudShell, right? So what my query is, that is where the resource group has what? CloudShell in it, right? So let's look for that CloudShell. Okay, so it must have this CloudShell string in that. If I run that query, so I think it was something different. Has CloudShell? Oh, there is a space. I mean, there is a dash between the CloudShell. So here we go. And resource group has CloudShell. Yep, that's fine. Single or double quotes we use for the query to make it a string actually. So to define it as a string in last 24 hours. This is related to the resource groups, and it is not able to find that anyways by any operation. I can find it if I'm especially looking for this. So here we go. Run. This is Microsoft.cloud shell. This is the operation name which is having this keyword also, and activities status is success. Okay, now I check for this Azure activity over here, what it says in this workspace, that this is ingested. The data has been ingested, as you see. Now what I'm expecting is that if I run this entire query, so it should find an evidence based on this, and resource group is this. I don't see any result, though there is a log with that. Microsoft storage where operation name value, so it is looking for that. Operation name value, this is for registration, storage account, list keys. Okay, that is to list the keys. Success. This query is having this entire logic. Operation name value, Microsoft storage account, write. Yeah, write has been done. Time key, Azure IP. Let me close this query window, and I go to the general tab over here. Identifies when a user creates an Azure Cloud Shell for the first time, monitors this activity to ensure only the expected users are using the Cloud Shell. Okay. It says Azure Activity where resource group has Cloud Shell, where operation name is this, key actions, where activity status is success. Extend time key, it will take that. Caller's IP address, it will take. Summarize, extend to string, yeah, that's there. Test with this current data. Or let me go with this view query results. And run this query. Okay, now you see that there is one incident it has detected. I mean, there is one evidence. We will call it an event. It has found based on the query. And because my rule logic says that okay, if there is a single occurrence of this, the result is query result is greater than 0, then generate an alert, and that alert will be triggered into the incident. So create the incident also based on this alert. Okay, so when this rule query will run, and it is configured to run every 5 minutes as per the rule logic. It is a scheduled query actually. Every 5 minutes this query will run on your data on the workspace. So when this will execute, it will detect for these uh, this tactic, this technique. Okay, so the TTPs actually that are used by the, I mean, we use them for threat modeling purpose. So the tactics or techniques will be detected and will be turned into the incidents. So here I will go to the threat management and incidents. In the threat management and incidents, I will find one incident here. This incident is low. Incident number is this. Title is new CloudShell user has been found. Alert has been generated. One alert. This is through Azure Sentinel. Incident provider name is this. Now you can deal with this incident. You can assign it to someone. Maybe it is right now unassigned. I want to assign it to myself, so I can say assign to myself, or you can assign it to any user to work on that incident. It is a new incident that user will start working. So this is unassigned incident, and then assigned to me myself. I will work actually on this. So assigned. Now once it is assigned, now I can start working on this. So I will do the investigation, and then I can change the status of it from new to active. So this is active. I'm working on this, and then severity is low. Let's keep that. And I can define the actions that if I want to investigate this, or I want to run any playbook. So maybe I want to investigate and I want to connect all the entities or the dots. So it connects all the dots that it was the admin actually started new cloud shell. Now you will find the related events also. Related alerts will help you to see that what is the impact on what different machines or where it has been started. So related alerts are 0 right now over here. There are lots of other queries based on this. You have many more options. So user account successful, events for that, office activity. So we do this investigation to reduce the blast through of the, or blast radius of the incident. So we can do that investigation. It shows you that okay, from which IP address it was triggered, related alert, more prevalent account. Okay, so you can see those events. Actually you can run that query and see if there is any alert related to that as well. So any related alerts will be shown to you over here. Once you have done on this incident, then you can close it. And to close this, you can say that okay, this incident is true positive, false positive, okay, or true negative or false negative, whatever it is. Okay, the status of it, maybe it is uh, wrong data has resulted into this. So I can perform those different actions on this. Or auto refresh I can turn on, so that any incident will be there, so it will come up over here. Okay, now this is active. Now I can say close this. And to close that, I need to choose the classification that it is true positive, so it is a suspicious activity. Benign positive, suspicious but it was expected. False positive, so incorrect alert logic has generated this. Or false positive, inaccurate data or undetermined. Okay, so it is benign positive, let's say suspicious but expected. Or maybe as per your uh, findings, you will choose this. You will provide a comment for this. For testing purpose we were using that. So suspicious, but it was actually expected that okay, it will be generated. I have some softwares, I have some applications that will run, and they have some sort of they do not have the signatures fully compliant with my requirement. They produce some sort of incidents based on this alert logic, and I'm completely okay with that. So I can say okay, it was suspicious but expected. Okay, expected behavior. So I can close that incident. So this is how you can see these incidents over here. Any open incident, new incident, active incidents, you can see. Okay, and you have the criteria filter over here. The status, the two are selected. You don't see the closed incident, but if you want to see the closed incidents as well, so it will show you that as well. So several criterion filters are there. So in this tutorial, what you have learned, you have seen that how do we onboard the Sentinel on top of a workspace? How do we connect the different data connectors with it? And those data connectors from the content management, from the content hub, we can onboard them. Then these data connectors, how are they connected? This configuration of each connector will vary depending on the solution that you are adding. Connected data connectors will look like this, and rest are grayed out, so they are not connected. So you need to look for that, how are you going to connect these data connectors. Okay, then once the data connectors have been connected, they start ingesting the data. Then you can query that data from here, from the logs query. You can create the incident rules, the analytics rules actually. So here you have under the configuration to create the analytics rules. These analytic rules will turn that data into the event, I mean alerts or the incidents based on the rule logic that you will specify here. We have near real-time rules, so they will be keep running near real-time to detect the attacks. We have scheduled queries, or we have based on the Microsoft security configuration. So we will do a deep dive into all these different things, um, all these different data connectors one by one. I will be talking about them and will be adding them. So we'll have a deep dive sessions on them in separate videos. Otherwise, this video will be quite long. So I hope this tutorial was informative to you, and if you like the content that I'm delivering, so please do like the video, share it with others, and do subscribe my channel for more videos and notifications in future. Thank you.